Hey everyone, this is Jennifer Beamer, owner-operator of Actively Dyed Art by Science, and this is the daily vlog, episode number 45. And today I wanted to talk to you guys about how I store my samples. So when I make a sample of yarn or fiber, I want to write down some information about it, a little bit about the preparation that I used, or a little bit about like the spinning methods that I used, and I keep track of all that stuff. So if I think, okay, well, what do I want to do with this fiber, or how does this color turn out, or how does this fiber blend feel, and how does it spin up? And I learn a lot doing this, but it can get really crazy very quickly. So you'll have all these samples come out of your ears, and it's really important if you're going to do the science part of this experiment is to keep track of everything. So I will show you what I did for my Ori merino. He is probably the softest merino I've ever felt. And as a result, I have hoarded his fleeces. I bought 3 of them, and I've only used for projects the first one that I bought. I still have probably about a pound of that left, and I have probably about another 10 pounds of this merino. But I'm going to use it first off, so it's not going to go bad or anything. So this is the initial testing that I did, and basically what I did was I wrote down the information. Okay, can see that better? So basically I put down some information about the place where this comes from. So this is Ori merino sheep, and it was sheared in 2012, and this was the prime fleece. Now, the reason why I say prime fleece is because the lady I buy this from, she skirts her fleeces really, really well. If you want to go to her shop and find out what else she's got, I think all of her fleeces have won awards at fleece competitions. So if you really want a prime spinning fleece, go to MMF Wool on Etsy, and I'll post that link below. So the prime fleece, it's well skirted, and really only the best stuff goes into, or that you get. So only the best went into making these samples. The first one that I did was a 2-ply bulky weight, 8 wraps per inch, and I also included the preparation method. So you can see here that I just picked open the lock. So I had the lock and I picked it open and then I spun it right at the wheel. I didn't do any other kind of preparation. And then this second one here is a 2-ply worsted weight prep, and it was a sport weight 2-ply, this one here. And the bottom one is a 3-ply worsted preparation Navajo double knit weight. You can see this one here. And I've also posted these to my blog, but let's see if we can do a close-up on just the yarn. So you can really see with just these 3 samples, it allows you to sort of get an idea of how a fiber is going to behave. You can spin it up in a different couple of ways just to see how it's going to look. So the bulky weight yarn is very fuzzy looking, and that's probably because of the preparation method. It was just going every which way. So as a result, some of the ends kind of like stick out of the yarn, and it gives it a more fuzzy appearance. But then when I did the worsted prep for, I think I just said worsted. Worsted? Worsted. It's like my grandma, she used to say wash instead of wash. But she would say Washington. Anyway, so the worsted preparations of the yarn are a lot less fuzzy. So you get more definition in the plies with a worsted weight or with a worsted preparation than you do with probably a woolen or just a picked open every which way type preparation. And then with this, I also made sure that I kept a sample of the lock, and all I did was I made its own little card like that, and I put Ori 2012 Merino washed locks. and then I just punched a hole, and then I tied the lock of the fiber to the card here. And if you have access to the raw fleece, I didn't have the opportunity to import a raw fleece to Korea because it's against customs. They'll just confiscate it and throw it away, and I didn't want to spend all that money for no reason. So I had to have it washed before it was sent here. So as a result, I don't have a raw lock version, but if you do have a chance to use some raw fleece, for example, I did a Namaste Farms breed box, and I kept a raw lock, a wash lock of each of the different samples that she provided, and I was able to sort of see it progress through the different changes. And if you're wanting to do this as more like a scientific experiment, I would also strongly suggest doing that. Plus, there's so much information that you would lose if you just went from, you know, beginning with the sample raw to finished yarn or even a knitted swatch or something like that. There's so much stuff that you lose in those steps between, so it's good to keep a little bit for each of those steps. And then I also decided to blend this with some cashmere, because cashmere is amazing. It's very soft and it goes really well with merino, and the disparity between the fiber lengths isn't huge. So the merino that I have is about 3 3¾ length average for the merino, and then I have the cashmere, which is about 1.5 inches to 2 inches. So there would be a little bit of a problem spinning it worsted style, because the cashmere might take, or the well, probably what would more likely happen is the merino would be taken up by the wheel, and the cashmere would sort of like accumulate in my hand in a clump. And as a result, I have this like really mismatched looking yarn, which could be great if that's what I was trying to go for. But if I'm trying to get more of an even blend, you know, the blending process does matter. So what I did was, again, here's my little sample. Am I holding it upside down? Yes. So I have 50-50 merino and a cashmere blend, and I hand blended this. So I took the lock and the cashmere, and I kind of like folded over, and then I pulled it apart, and then I just kept doing this process to get it sort of incorporated. And then I used little dog brushes, and very gently I just kind of brushed them into a little mini bat so that it was really well organized. And then I spun up my samples. So I think this medium one really shows off how the cashmere and the merino will separate from each other. My camera really dislikes having to focus things close. Okay, see these little poofy bits right here? These are the parts where the cashmere kind of clumps up with the other fibers of the cashmere, and they sort of form like a little like a noil, or it really texturizes the yarn. So if you want that, go for it, but it's going to be a slightly weaker yarn, because if you're doing a bulky weight and there's a bunch of fibers that are going to not be completely locked into the yarn, it might start to fall apart. So if you're going to use it like this, make sure it's something that's more like an accessory, not a hard-wearing item. Also, you don't want to make cashmere a hard-wearing item if it's going to be in a preparation like this. Part of the cashmere is going to come out, and then it's going to weaken the yarn where it's, you can kind of see here, it's starting to come out a little bit. When more and more comes out, then there's sort of like this gap in the yarn, and then the merino will start to pull away there as well, and eventually it'll start to wear to the point where there's less twist, and the yarn becomes, I guess, kind of threadbare, so it'll fall apart. And then I also did 2 other preparations. Oh, sorry, no, I didn't. I just did the one. This one is a probably a sport or fingering weight 2-ply, and then I also have a 3-ply of the same wraps per inch. It's 12 to 14 wraps per inch. But something you'll probably immediately notice is these yarns are a little bit more, oh, it's focusing. So you can kind of see how the 2-ply, which is the one on the right, this one, my right, your left, it has a lot more of the nubby bits, and it's probably because I didn't spin it very well, because you can see it's really not a consistent diameter. But if you look over here at this 3-ply that I did, this Navajo ply version, it's a lot more even. And I think it's because I was being a little bit more careful with how I was drafting the fiber as I was spinning, and as a result, it's a lot more consistent. So I know that in the future, if I decide to do this merino cashmere blend, I need to make sure that the fiber is well blended to begin with. I need to be a little bit careful with how I spin it, and I should probably opt more for a 3 or 4-ply yarn rather than a 2-ply, just to make sure that the cashmere fibers are going to stay trapped with the merino, and I'll also get a very consistent looking yarn as a result. So how I store these, well, unfortunately, because of cameras, there's a big glare. I've taken a photo of this before on my blog. I think it's the Icelandic post that I put up there in January, maybe early February. And basically, I just have cards like these. And what I do is just on a cardstock piece of paper, you just put some tape on the back. So you can use that on the back here, put it on your cardstock, and then get like a plastic sleeve holder to put the whole thing in there, and get one of those big 3-inch ring binder, put all of your samples in there, and then you can make like a little flip book. So if it's been a little while, or maybe you were in a fervor trying to test all these different fibers, so you want to go back and see what it was that you actually did, because it was a year ago, you can go and you can flip through your book again and see all these samples, take them out and play with them. Anyway, so that's what I do with my samples. I take notes. I have various kinds of samples, and if I was going to do anything more with it, like if I was going to dye it or if I was going to use it for a kind of pattern, I would also, knit up the swatch. I would keep a little bit of the dyed fiber and or yarn, depending on which stage I did the dyeing, and some notes about how I did the dyeing, what I used, how much, etc., just so that if I wanted to, I could maybe in the future reproduce those results. And depending on how exact you are, you might be able to use this as a recipe to create more of the same color in case, you find out 6 months from now you're actually pregnant and now you have to knit your sweater to be a little bigger. So things like that happen. And, notes are always a good thing. It's a little bit extra, but sometimes they work out in your favor and you're glad that you have them. Anyway, so if you like this video, please give me a thumbs up and subscribe if you haven't already. Thank you to everybody who has subscribed. You guys overwhelm me sometimes, and I love that you guys are here. And because so many of you have asked, Monty and Socket are in the videos again. I'm sorry that they didn't make the ones that I did in the States, but they're definitely going to be there in all the other upcoming videos. So thanks for letting me know that you guys care about them as much as I do. Anyway, if I miss anything, if you have any comments or questions, post below. If there's any links I failed to mention they will be in the description, and as always, thanks for watching. Bye! Did you like watching this video? Click Monty if you would like to subscribe, or click Socket if you want to see more videos. Thanks for watching.